the study that I wrote about this week is all about exploring a new method of meeting employee psychological needs and also raising employee psychological capital. And this study is more of a working paper, looking at a bunch of theoretical concepts and coaching methods in order to come up with a new method, or a method that workplace leaders can use to help meet these needs of employees. And so the question, therefore, is how can an amalgamated model of concepts be applied to organizations to positively affect employee psychological capital and the satisfaction of basic psychological needs out of self-determination theory? And the methods of this were looking through existing research on positive organizational scholarship, positive organizational behavior, psychological capital, self-determination theory, appreciative inquiry, and the integrated cognitive behavioral coaching model to create this new model. And essentially, this new model combines the elements of appreciative inquiry and this integrated cognitive behavior coaching. And I think it was a total of around 57 or 60 resources that were used to come up with this approach, and suggest that this could be a model that would raise employee psychological needs. And the results are that this combined approach essentially includes these 4 primary stages, and each of these primary stages fulfills or meets basic psychological needs in some way. So the first step of this is discovery, and this stage has its roots in appreciative inquiry literature, and it's the process by which employees engage in a retroactive discovery of the motivating factors that have contributed to their past accomplishments. And so at work, this could look like management celebrating employee past work experiences as a means of making them more aware of their strengths, more aware of what they do well. And then the employee, better aware of their strengths, and after this recognition, can more consciously use them. And so this stage specifically has the ability to meet all 3 of psychological needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And so from there, you go on to the second step, which is entitled Dream. And this is all about, this is actually has its roots in integrative cognitive behavioral coaching. And it's all about focusing on the visualization of your ideal self. And typically in coaching, you're not really focused necessarily on the entire organizational change. It's more individual focused. And so this is typically routed towards just your individual self. However, the author here suggests that this framework could be applied to the organization in a way of visualizing their desired or employee desired future of the workplace and the organization. And this stage, the author noted, might be able to help increase optimism as related to the coaching model that is used, but also has the potential of satisfying the 3 psychological needs set before. And then the third stage here is design, and it's all about entrusting individuals to co-construct their ideal future and then attaching specific proactive behaviors to create actionable goals. And then the author mentioned that cognitive behavior coaching elements can enhance the stage by encouraging individuals to assess their own areas of individual improvements and aligning those improvement goals with the organization's. And the author suggested that this stage may lead to the satisfaction of employee autonomy and competence. Finally, the 4th stage here is destiny, and it's focused on pursuing previously designed goals, enacting new actionable goals as you move forward, and then building an appreciative learning system for employees, essentially. And what this could look like is providing employees with trainings to teach how to stop cycles of negative thinking, how to deal with setbacks in the workplace, and increasing individual resilience. And with this structure in place, employees will more likely feel supported to achieve their goals through a solution-focused approach rather than problem-focused, which may satisfy all 3 psychological needs. And so the key takeaway here is the study affirms the value of coaching techniques on individual improvement, that techniques or teaching workplace leaders behavioral coaching techniques may be helpful in increasing employee well-being and decreasing potential workplace conflict. So that's what I have for this one. I'm interested to hear what you all think. And it's
yeah, this certainly affirms the work that we do. I do like this kind of structured framework I think this, to me, experienced coaches kind of intuitively go through this, whether they're doing it deliberately or not. But it seems like an interesting way of structuring it. Even if like we're bringing someone on as like a coach, a new coach for someone, and just kind of giving them the framework, just to say, here's one way to look at, especially people that have not traditionally been coaches for a long time and are just kind of starting to get into coaching
Right.
after being conflict specialists. So it could be, yeah. So I like the way that they set that up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. My first thoughts were, oh, well, this is kind of like what what our peace builders do, even through our peacemaking processes. But I do like the simplicity of the 4 steps, and it's a good framework, and like Jeremy says, it validates kind of what our peace builders already are doing.
It's framed in a way of looking at coaching for attending to the basic psychological needs of employees, and so increasing employee satisfaction, right? But it seems like hey, Anupriya, it seems like a great setup for even a peacemaking process, right? I mean, because it seems like kind of what they go through. It's like a discovery process of like what has led to this point, and also what's worked in the past, and then going into dream, like what can we envision about a better relationship going forward, and then you design those steps. I mean, it seems like and then destiny is like, kind of accountability and looking back, like how are we implementing it? Yeah,
absolutely. I think this is like a common practice for mediators.
Yeah,
what's your WATNA, what's your BATNA, and that's going through these. That's kind of the dream, right? And then into the design.
The dream part reminds me of like the moral imagination, letter X suggestion of creating an imagined future,
the third way,
outside of the sort of normal bounds of our typical boxes.
Right. Yeah, I thought this was interesting, and I think it sets this is a working paper. It's kind of suggesting that this coaching technique combined with appreciative inquiry would meet psychological needs. I think it sets a good precedence for future research too, to potentially consider this as, to see how it affects employees really. Like, does it meet these psychological needs? Does it grow psychological capital? Because that would be nice to know. I mean, I imagine that it does to some degree, because coaching typically meets some needs.
Yeah.
But
was it done as like a theory paper, or was it done as like a review of other papers?
I would say it's more of a theory paper, because they're kind of incorporating some of their own ideas. They're suggesting that psychological needs may be met based on these theories and past studies.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta think that there's some research on that. There's some research on coaching and how it meets psychological needs.
Yeah,
I bet we could find it.
Yeah,
this is cool. I mean, if you could also take that and apply it to like a peacemaking or like a transformative mediation framework, that would also be a interesting future direction.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about the participants in a mediation or a peacemaking process, what the needs that they have are these psychological needs. So it would only make sense that it would apply to both.
Yeah, and you notice that what we do, which is different than kind of more typical mediation, every peacemaking package involves coaching. There's always coaching involved in our so I think coaching is an absolute critical piece of any of these sort of transformative processes. And this is a good framework for it. Yeah. Something to think about if we want to design a little framework for just onboarding new coaches and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to take us away from the research and talk about our services, but that's something that I initially admired about our peacemaking processes. That's not, a standard mediation that we do in settlement and court-based type of mediation. There's no coaching component involved. So you don't get that transformative psychological change. You really just get the other basic needs, like the physical, the settlement, the money, you're not looking deeper. And so I admire that about our services, is that we incorporate coaching.
Yeah. Well, and also when a mediator jumps in without kind of knowing and having gone through some process of discovery with each person, it's like there's no rapport built, there's no trust built with that mediator. They're just kind of thrown into the mix. So
yeah.